Pragnya
Cool.
Waklu, welcome to a brand new episode of On Vijay's playlist. How are you doing firstly?
Hey, it's so good to see you like after a really long time. I'm doing great.
Yeah,
Just getting back to releasing music after last year's album. So yeah, just
yeah.
happy like to be back again.
I must say, but I mean, you've been busy releasing music, but what a time have you had in the while that we have all spent indoors. I mean, you have been one of the few young Indian musicians out there who has been selected to be a part of the prestigious Grammy Recording Academy.
Oh yeah,
You're one of the youngest recipients of the Dada Saheb Phalke Award. Twice, I think, if I'm not wrong, in 2 years alone.
I, yeah, we won it twice, and then we got two honorable mentions. So I guess four of them now.
And I mean, as part of your ensemble band, the Keva Speaks, you've been successfully touring across the length and breadth of India, the US, and Hong Kong, and I think you're all set to travel now to the Europe. Um,
Yeah,
Whew. And
it's been
12 years,
fun.
12 years of being an independent musician, your accolades are just increasing more and more, and they're just counting. How do you look back at all of, how do you look back at your journey in retrospect, if I may ask?
I mean, firstly, it's great to know you from the beginning of the journey, like since then and all that. Like, it feels really nice to have these like familiar faces on the scene who are also like still involved with music like all these years. So, yeah, just to begin, like to see you also around, like, so many other people. It's just great to have like this whole community that's been there since, that time. I think it's been a interesting journey. Like there have been a lot of changes within the music, the sphere of how one releases music. Like I think way back in like a decade ago when we released the first album, it was actually a decade ago in 2012 was the first,
Yeah.
my first album. So tab se like wo CD and all that stuff and like doing live shows and selling to now the way the whole thing has changed to digital and the whole musical landscape has changed, but also the growing rise of indie and independent music in India has happened over the years. So I think it's been a very evolutionary process of constantly seeing how to not just reinvent your music, but also how to keep changing the way you approach releases and strategies and keeping it fresh and current, I guess. So I think for me, it's been a big learning and I'm hoping that with every release, I get better as an artist, and just like the music keeps evolving. That's the hope that I have for myself.
I think reinvention is the word that strictly must, it should be a middle name by now, Pragnya, because you started with folk, you transitioned into pop. With your last album, Lessons in Love, there was an element of jazz, and now with your latest release, Disconnect, there is um,
Yeah.
a very beautiful attempt at kind of stepping into the hip hop space, also with with all the freestyle and spoken word influences that you have used in the track. um,
Yeah.
so when you are venturing into spaces that are not really familiar with your core aesthetics, what do you firstly tell yourself before wanting to convince everybody else of making that plunge?
I think for me, like every song evolves out of being exposed to different cultures, experiences, and like my own personal journey of traveling to different places, meeting new people. So it's kind of just an extension of things that I've experienced and sounds that I've heard and sort of assimilated. So I think for me, the what I tell myself, I don't really tell myself. Uh, it just sort of comes the way I'm feeling it at the time. And I think a lot of how I'm feeling it has to do with the kind of journeys that I've experienced, the people I've met, the places I've been to, and the things I've heard. I think only for Keva Speaks, there was kind of a directed attempt to, okay, like, make it like a project in which we approach like each song with, there was a lot of research that went into every song and understanding like the delving deeper into history behind each of the poetesses, their works, and also that was actually like kind of like a study and a sort of like a something that evolved out of research and understanding and talking to people and all that. The other songs have mostly been just like moods, and yeah, there's not been any I would say, like, I don't go approach a song thinking that it's going to turn out a certain genre, which for me is both a challenge also sometimes, because every time I go approach a label to sign me or something, which I did in the middle, it's like, because it's not any one specific thing. Like, they're like, you either choose if you want to be a Kashmiri pop artist or you want to be a you know what, you know how it is,
Yeah.
like they want, like, to put you in a bracket, right? And then I'm always kind of confused about what do I consider myself as a artist. Like, there's no one like box that I can just be like, I'm this. Because it should be like that for people. I think, like, you can't just say that throughout my life I'm going to just make pop, like, you also change as a person, and
Absolutely.
everything. So yeah, like, for me, that has been both like a, it's a like a double-edged sword. In a way, it's a good thing, but if you want to see from a marketing perspective or trying to get signed to bigger things, it could be work against you as well. But for me, I prefer that, I just kind of make whatever I'm feeling at the moment. It doesn't matter what the genre is, or if it's cross genre. Why not, like, be creative and explore all parts of yourself that you can.
But tell me this, Pragna, sometimes doesn't it somewhere the want or the want and the need to be creative with different musical facets, or the
Hmm.
want to experiment with what you can deliver in terms of genres, in terms of performance. Do you think
Hmm.
somewhere that can, I mean, a peril of that could be that somewhere it can also affect what your core strength is. You may be particularly good at one thing. There may be a particular skill set that you do the best. But do you
Yeah.
think somewhere wanting to don multiple hats can also sometimes somewhere endanger the prospects of being the best at what you're already doing?
Yeah, yeah, you're right. It could be, but I feel that you never know what you're the best at unless you don't try everything.
Yeah,
And then, like, sometimes, like Chris Martin also says, okay, that sounds dumb, but yeah, he's like, if you never try, you'll never know, right? So, I mean, if you don't explore, I mean, you could think you're the best at something, but suddenly you try something and then discover that, oh, wow, actually, this is
yeah,
something that I'm resonating more with. And I
better with.
think also being the best also comes from your passion for that thing. So that passion could be something that you I mean, like, you also generate a love for, like, later on your life, something else that maybe you hadn't met or seen or experienced up until that point. So I think for me, while you're right, like, say, PV Sidhu decided to take up, say, like, golf or something tomorrow. Like, Michael Jordan did that. He
Yeah,
went from basketball to baseball to golf, and he went to pro league baseball, and he's a pretty good golfer. But people still recognize him as basketball, but he's
yeah.
still pretty good at the other things. Yeah. And that's only because he said that, you know what, I don't want to only be, I mean, why not explore this other thing? So I think that even if you might not be the best at the other things, if you're even good at it and you make a mark somewhere and it's something you love doing, then I would still do it. Just because I would want to experience it, and it's new experiences, I think, and it leads to creative uh evolve. Like I feel that if you keep doing the same thing, of course there are different levels you can reach there, but if you want to evolve, a lot of times you need to look outside and away from what you're doing to get inspiration, to get ideas, and to also just maybe create something new. Like, what if there's a genre that nobody knows about yet that you can create because you're trying something different? So even that's possible. So yeah, for me, I would say that I wouldn't want to restrict myself still to being the best at one thing. I'd rather be a jack of one of many trades, maybe. To,
Be a
I
jack
have
of
a
all
common
trades.
theme.
Be a
Yeah.
jack of all trades, but still, I think you do sense the belief that yes, you can pretty much be the master at one. It doesn't take away from what is something that you already are the best at.
Yeah. And also I think that what probably is common, you need to find a common thread in everything that you do. And for me, that common thread is kind of, to make meaningful music that can connect to people in a way, and also that is authentic to who I am. I don't want to just create something because this is trending in the market, so therefore just do it, like, because people are liking that particular kind of music, so make it like that. So I think for me, the common thread in despite it's like, um, you cook food for giving it, cook food because you love cooking, but it could be many kinds of recipes that you make. So for the love of doing what
Yeah,
you do, and serving people in a particular way, you want to give people something that makes them happy, but it could be
yeah.
like multiple recipes. So it's kind of like that analogy, I would say.
Absolutely. Pragya, since like we rightly discussed, it's been almost 12 years, I guess, since you started making music. So,
Yeah.
do you see any considerable difference, from the time you started to where, the independent music space has evolved today, where somewhere discoverability is at large, somewhere although we are still, I can say we're still getting that thanks to the advancement of social media over the years, thanks to um, live performance, the need for live performances and live venues really rising up now. Now, even with the pandemic, it's all the more where, like, I think the coming quarter is going to see a huge surge in in live events in general. So do you think that somewhere there is you witnessed a certain sense of growth, or do you still feel that somewhere um, we are still stuck in the discussion stage yet?
No, no, there's been growth for sure. I think in terms of the number of people that are doing independent music way back in 2012 to Abhi, there's been a dramatic rise.
Yeah,
There's been more exposure to it, and I also think with all of these like Apple and Spotify and all also have played a role in discoverability of new artists, where earlier that was mostly through live events and things like that, like people would go out more and just find a person, but now it's like through the independent playlists and through shows, like, I mean, through even through your these the YouTube things and Instagram stuff that you're putting out, or when Radio City was doing that Freedom Radio, and I think through a lot of these other initiatives also, the discoverability, while they may have, honestly, like there may have also been a good number of singer songwriters back then, but we probably didn't know about them because of there wasn't a way to find them as easily as it is now.
yeah,
So I think one is that, and I think the acceptance of and the number of opportunities that have been created now, or not only opportunities but also the knowledge and the information available to people on if you want to do independent music, like what are some things that you should do, or the community has grown a lot. Because I think when we started out, everyone was quite clueless. You're just like discovering things on your own, and there were a few bands, and now there's a much larger community of musicians, of artists that can help support one another to grow the scene further in India also, I think. So I would say that, yeah, it's been a great shift. There's obviously more that can still be done, but it's been an improvement. It's been a big improvement. Like I would say in terms of the mass media, like in the middle, there were really good things like MTV Roots and Pepsi, MTV Indies and all that had come.
yeah.
Everything seems to have again tapered off. Like now MTV and VH1 are back to showing mostly like those shows and other like stuff, not so much independent music. So on a mass, to reach out to the masses and stuff that way our media still, except for Songdo TV, that is a dedicated has their own dedicated channel for indie artists. Apart from that, I don't see any real thing in the mass media kind of space. Apart from that, it's definitely been a big improvement since before,
Would you
but
say the
not in
same?
terms of money or anything. Not
I,
in terms of
I think
crowds.
I think when it comes to money, I guess that's a sentiment that's shared across industries. We can't just speak for music, but moving on swiftly before we ponder any further on this. But do you think you can pretty much maintain the same sentiment, Pragya, when it comes to the way women have been represented in music?
There's still scope for a lot more, but definitely seen a lot of increase in women singer songwriters. पहले से तो बहुत बढ़िया हो गया है. Like I remember when I think when we were there, they were just like literally you could count on your fingers the number of people, not so many. But now there are lots of them and they're doing really good work, like really nice compositions, really I think even now, with like say Kamakshi's stuff recently got placed in OTT series and all that. So that's also really good, great to see a lot of women artists getting placed, their music placed in sync deals and all that. So I think it will be a big boost for other women. Yeah, but still, if you see overall as an average on the scene, it's very negligible. The number of women artist ratio to the number of male artists is still very less. अभी भी पर पहले से better है. That's all I can say is like from पहले there's an improvement, but it's still not where it should be. I would say like it should actually be 50-50, right? Like if you
Yeah.
want to see. But abhi it would probably be somewhere at 20% or something if you or even less, na? I don't know. I'm just giving some figure from whatever I've seen, but I don't even think there are those many. Like in this country of like such a vast population, like
Absolutely. Absolutely. So if I may have to
it's a
ask you, sorry to cut you there, but if I may have to ask you, to pick some of these amazing women who you have been listening to and you think, you wish them well, you wish that there are more opportunities for them in future,
yeah.
or to even collaborate with them if you would like to do that in your capacity as an artist, then who would you pick as your favorite?
I really like this artist called Anushka Maski. I
Maski.
really like her music, her voice, and the songs she's writing. I also like recently. I'm talking about the new ones that I've heard. So I like this
Yeah.
Maya Mattu.
Maya Mattu.
Yeah, very nice songs she's coming up with. Then interesting. Recently, I did a collab with her. I also like her stuff. Sayantika Ghosh.
Yeah.
She came up with that samurai song. Now, like very nice treatment and very nice vocal arrangements. So I think, and of course, they're the same. Like I mean, I like Kamakshi's music. I think she's really doing very well for herself right now. Yeah, so I would say that these are some of the new ones that I've heard who I've been liking their work. And then there's a second site
Yeah.
band. So I like their music that Gauri and Aksha.
Gauri and Akshay.
Uh, yeah, pretty much. So the harmonies and all the things that they're doing, that's very interesting and cool. Like also, I think compositionally, a lot of these people have come up with very interesting and unique sort of. Also, Bawari Basanti, her stuff is really cool, interesting. She's very doesn't stick to. I mean, she's very authentic with her
Yeah.
work, and it's very unique, I would say. So I really like the way she to sort of. She's just very free spirited person. I met her recently at that LWDTT conference. So she's a very free spirited person, and we were thinking, okay, maybe we'll do something together, and also let's see how that pans out.
Lovely. Pragnya, uh, one very vital question I think as creative professionals we need to ask ourselves every day is why do we do what we do? What is it that
Yeah,
makes you do what you enjoy and what you love doing?
yeah. So I think for me, it's just a form of I like telling stories and about things that matter. So I think for me, music is a way to do that and share that with people, whether it's raising awareness about something that I'm passionate about, a theme or a social issue or something, or then it's just an extension of how I'm feeling and I want somebody else who also feels that way to relate. So for me, the joy that I derive from my work is being able to tell that and to influence someone to, I mean, either somebody who, to inspire somebody, or just help them to find that song that says what they want to say, but like they don't have a way to express it. So something that they can relate to through that. So for me, yeah, like, sometimes I think like, why am I spending so much money? Like because of videos and the production and everything, like it's really costly. And
Yeah.
but that at the end of the day, it feels good to just be able to say what you want to, and have total creative control also over how you want to say it. Like nobody's telling you aise karna hai ya waise karna hai. I think that's why I quit my job also. I don't like people telling me ye aise karo waise karo and all that. So I think like for me, like the ability to have that creative freedom to say a story the way I want to say it and visually express it, there's a
Hmm.
great joy in that. And of course, then to earn from that as well is nice, that you're able to convert your passion into your profession. So I think for me, yeah, but the main reason for doing it is this only, just to express myself through stories and to share that with the world and just take it everywhere, wherever I can go in whatever capacity. I
Um,
feel it connects people. Like I like to also make the live experience, the live gigs and experience for the people. Like I wouldn't want to say that come and see my show. It's like come and be a part of this thing where you can be a, like I want them to be a part of the shows. We always make them, talk to them, integrate them in the show. They're always part of the singing. So at the end of it, it feels like everybody was part of the performance. So I feel like it's also a great way to help people to just connect, which we really need in today's world again. So that's
Absolutely.
another reason.
I think having emerged out of a pandemic, I think we need it all the more.
Yeah.
Pragya, when we let's come to your recent release, Disconnect. I
Yeah.
remember the first time I heard it was back when I was working with Radio City, and we did an interview with you and Aditi Ramesh,
Ah,
and both of you jammed to it.
right,
That was
right.
the
You heard it?
Yes, so that was the first time I think you introduced, or rather, I was officially introduced to Disconnect, and with Aditi coming in with her jazz Carnatic vocals, I think there was an altogether. I think maybe you must approach Aditi to do that version again, and think y'all must officially release it together. So I'll keep my fingers crossed, hoping that that collab happens, because I think with her bringing in her jazz Carnatic influence, it kind of really uplifted that song all the more. But
Yeah.
that interaction, Pragna, was 4 years ago. What bit of it convinced you that, 2022, right now is the correct time for you to release that song? Do you think it's because somewhere you believe that you've kind of built a certain fan base for yourself, a certain listenership for yourself? And do you feel more confident, like you rightly said, because you were experimenting and kind of venturing into a space that you're not particularly familiar with, which doesn't necessarily belong to your core aesthetics as an artist? But do you think because now somewhere you kind of evolved, between when we interacted back then to now, do you think somewhere that gave you the conviction to release the track now?
So actually, we had recorded a band version of the song long back, but I wasn't very satisfied with that particular version. And then I started playing the song live. Actually, the song was written all in 2000 and like 12 or 30. Yeah, like almost like quite a long
What?
time ago. Like it's a very old song.
Oh
But I never
God.
released it until then because I don't know. I just felt like I was making Keva Speaks and it didn't fit with the theme of the whole album. And that time I was releasing albums. I wasn't doing the singles thing and all that. So I was feeling it doesn't really fit with this theme of this album and everything. So I actually wrote the song years ago and then I would play it live and I saw that people really like the song in live. So I've been playing it for over a decade live now. And this is everyone's favorite, one of their favorite songs in my set. This one and Flying High and Katyuchuka, the three favorite songs that people like from my set. So then I was like, okay, I think now it's time to finally record it. And I also felt like that time I had written it when cell phones were just coming in, and like this whole phenomenon had just started happening. So then I was thinking like now it might be outdated, but now the whole metaverse thing and all is happening,
Yeah,
where looking at digital futures, everything moving into the metaverse and this and that. So I think now it's relevant, but with another sort of a different way to like there's another reason to where the meaning means like it can mean whatever for different people, but the whole idea is like they're blurring the lines between reality and illusion, and at some point you start questioning what's really real and where you are. And it's also about just being present. I think like we've all gotten so lost in these spaces that we've created for ourselves in virtual spaces that we're not really there,
that's true.
just there like mentally, physically. So I think the song's a lot about that. And um, I just felt like, yeah, I felt like I want to look at something different for my new release. And then this song was kind of a little different from the rest of my style. And so I released it with like, we did a few shows recently where it was sounding good with this funk melodic thing. And the song has also evolved a little over the years. So I was finally like, okay, let's now release it. Maybe the time is right now. But yeah, now that you remind me, I just remember that you did hear that version years ago with Aditi, which is the acoustic thing, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
But consider my suggestion, Pragya. I think really you must have
That's a good idea.
you must approach Aditya, and I think it would be amazing, for the world to hear what you guys actually created that day. Um, let's speak because we spoke about NFTs, Pragya. Let's speak about how your work, Kathi Chuk My Love, is something that's been listed on Fantico. So how do you look at the possibilities, the new digital, initiatives that are being undertaken, in the best interests of artists at large?
Well, I think that there's a lot of scope for it, but it's kind of like everyone's still kind of wrapping their heads and around trying to
Mm,
understand and best, because it's really great to have it out there, and you should have it. It's worked for
yeah,
Ritviz and Nuclear and stuff. They sold out all the NFTs. So I think it's kind of like a good thing to have, because you never know when your brand value will change as
yep,
an artist. And it's kind of like having art or something like, as soon as the artist value goes up, you sell it for like a high price in the marketplace. So similarly, that's kind of the way with NFT. So it's kind of like a investment in your art, like online, and people can make that. And then, you know, it's kind of like stock market for artists or something like that, like based on your own value or thing. If you suddenly have a hit tomorrow, that NFT could sell for really high
yeah,
money. So my reason for putting it out at that time was like because I submitted my music to the Grammy for the first time, right? Like last year. And I thought
yeah,
just in case I get a Grammy nomination, my NFT will sell for a lot of money in the market. So I don't know. I was trying to think of it as from that strategic point of view. I was like, who knows, like what will happen, right? So why not take a
yeah,
chance?
right,
So that's why I had it up there then, and it could pay off. I think. I mean, I think one needs to keep, of course, focusing on your core strength, which is creating music and all that. But there's a lot of creative ways, and you have to look at that, because otherwise it's just going to get very expensive
yep,
for all of us. And we have to find some way where you're getting maximum return on the music that you're putting out. So whether it's through NFTs, whether it's through sync deals, whether it's through a brand association or whatever it is, the more visibility you have, the greater your ability will be for people to want to associate with you, and for your NFTs and other things to have higher asset value in the market. So I think it's important for artists to also look at it from a 360-degree perspective of how you're really growing, not just your music, but overall as a brand, and what kind of things are you doing beyond your art? How are you, engaging with other things as well? So it's an extension of our music and our foray into other spaces also.
Lastly, Pragnya, before we conclude, of course, you will continue. I mean, there's no doubt about the fact that you will continue to make the amazing music that you're doing, and that's an endeavor that you're constantly going to keep at. But
Yeah.
as somebody who is largely influential in the scene in her own right, if there is a particular aspect or a particular talking point that you want to actively propagate and you want to actively endorse in your right as an influencer, um, is there a particular thing, an issue or a concern that hugely interests you?
Yeah, I would say like people standing up and speaking about what they want to say without fear, and
Hmm.
especially women. And also safety. And, like I feel like I think safety for women is something that I'm, especially in this industry, because I see like a lot of things happening, and I also see how people cover things up because there's always a power play and things happening and other important people involved and all that. So I feel like that is something that I advocate strongly in this space. Like I don't go and play at venues which have any history of anything like that happening, or I would speak up for other people that have faced anything like this and take a stand. So I think it's important to for everybody to be able to feel free to raise their voices for things that are important to them. And that's something that as an artist I would stand by, especially support women that need a voice and support, because I feel a lot of times like in this industry there's this boys club thing that gets formed, and people to protect their friends also just make you feel like like you're the bad person or something for even talking about something that happened, even though you're a victim. And I've seen this happen a lot, and I feel very strongly about it that if you have the power to say something, and you should take a stand on it, because it's something that we need to create for the other artists, like a safe community. So that's something that I feel strongly about in this thing space. I wrote a song. I started writing a song also about it. So maybe it'll be released later on. Let's see. How we like it's in progress.
Well, more power to you, Pragnya. I've always maintained that you're one of the most vocal musicians, and most vocal artists we have in the country today. And all I can say is onwards and upwards from here, Pragnya. And here's wishing you all the best in all the amazing work
Thanks.
that you're about to bring our way.
Thanks so much. It was so great talking to you after so long, like face to face essay, na? Yeah, but
Face
anyway,
to
thanks so
face,
much for having.
I'm happy. It's funny you say virtual is face to face, but I hope you come down soon to Mumbai, and
Yeah,
we can definitely meet.
yeah, that'll happen soon, hopefully. So
Yeah,
anyway, thank you for having me on your show, and I look forward
my
to
pleasure.
hopefully meeting in person again after years.
After you, hopefully, Godspeed.